All right, here we go. Salute to Knicks Nation. Another edition of KnicksFanTV Live, Knicks Weekly, presented by Manscaped. Hit that thumbs up button for you boys. It's a Knicks Weekly recap show where we go through the good, the bad, and the ugly, but mostly ugly right now with the orange and blue. CB the Franchise, Alex Charles, JD Sports Talk on the ones and twos and threes tonight. So we're going to go through the weekly recap, and then we're going to do our all-time Knicks draft in the spirit of the 75th anniversary of the NBA and the New York Knicks. We are going to draft our all-time Knicks team, have some fun with it, and you guys at home will decide who has the best squad. So let's get into it right now. Salute to everybody in the chat once again. Hit that thumbs up button for you boys. A little late tonight on Knicks Weekly, man. I had to take a little nap, man. I had to take a little old man nap. You know what I'm saying, fellas? You guys will get there soon. You guys are young bucks.
Yeah, I mean, you up there with Thibodeau, so I get it.
Nevertheless, we come into this week, short week, post All-Star break, 0-2. Knicks now 25-36 on the campaign. Long way away from the 50-burger. Losers of 15 of their last 18. But we saw some good things in the return of R.J. Barrett. Came burst on in the scene this week. Shout out to R.J. 35 points per game, 46 against the Miami Heat, and then another 24 against the Philadelphia 76ers. So we saw, once again, RJ taking another leap now in year 3, and the offense clearly shifting into his hands, which I think was certainly a good thing. So let's get into it, man. I'll start with you. What were your thoughts on this week?
Well, short week. Nothing doesn't look too good for the Knicks moving forward, unless you're on the tank squad. All right. But as you noted, R.J. Barrett comes back from an ankle injury, got 46 points against the Miami Heat. Yesterday, he didn't shoot efficiently, but he still came out with, He came out with 24 points,
Mm-hmm.
So you see that the Knicks are running it through him. We discussed it yesterday, trying to make him the focal point of this offense, which I think is just the right decision for this team moving forward. This is a wing-driven league. And I just like the way that he's been handling that pressure, just being that guy, he's shown leadership skills, whether that's answering tough questions at the podium, but his play style has also stepped up to that level too. Once it was around when it was New Year's Eve against OKC, when we started seeing him attack downhill more than he has been throughout the course of the season. And there's just that switch that flipped for him. And now he's been the aggressor. He's been very patient. He's reading the court better. He's been more selective with his shots instead of just taking threes and just driving. He's trying to really look at what the defense is giving him. I like that from RJ. The one thing I will say that I want RJ to do, though, even though we're seeing him progress and take that step in his third year, is that I want him to shoot better overall. When you look at the league averages, he's below in 2-point percentage, free throw percentage. The things that he is above at, though, is free throw rate, how often he gets to the line.
Mm-hmm.
His 3-point percentage is above league average right now. So I like that aspect of what he's giving us. But everything else that he needs to do, he needs to take it up, whether that's true shooting percentage, effective field goal percentage, free throws. That's the area of the game where he needs to step it up. But overall, I think for a guy who's still coming into his own, and for someone who's not even considered like a 3-point threat in college, he shot 30.8% in college. The fact that he's over league average, shooting 35.8% right now, when the league average is 34.9. And on high volume too, that's encouraging. So just want to see him become a better shooter, because if he can score efficiently at all 3 levels, then we're talking about him being truly a catalyst for this team and then being that threat that we want him to be. But overall, the progression that we're seeing from RJ, I think just between these 2 games alone, I like what I see from him so far.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to say, from the RJ standpoint, I think it makes these games worth watching, and you can kind of stomach the losing because it's one W for the tank, but it's another win in the step of play development and watching his game continue to evolve now as emerging as the leader of this team, unquestionably, and the guy that should be that guy because he's a guy I feel like wants to take on that challenge. Absolutely wants to take on that challenge. As we said, coming in since January, man, he's averaging 23.7 points per game, 6 rebounds per game, 43% from the field, and 39% from 3 on 6 attempts. So he's getting some volume up on his threes, attacking way more, averaging 9 free throw attempts per game. But he's got to hit his free throws because his free throws, as you said, the shooting is below league average in certain areas, and the free throws is one of them. If you're going to be attacking and going to be aggressive, that's good, but you got to make your free throws, man, because they are free at the end of the day. But I just feel like with the ball in his hands, it just makes more sense to run it through him. He can see the court better than Julius, has better court vision than Julius, and makes better decisions than Julius. But, he's got to shoot better within the arc and from the free throw line. 30% from the mid-range. He's 17th percentile in mid-range shooting right now. 57% from the rim. I think those have been in an uptick as of late, but on the year he's at 57%, and then 48% effective field goal percentage, which is 21st in the league. So I think with a better mid-range diet, those numbers will improve, and hopefully, again, at the stripe, he picks it back up because he finished last year around 75%, which was good. But this year, it's taken a bit of a dip. JD, your thoughts on RJ's play thus far?
It's as you mentioned and you and Alex mentioned some of the areas of improvement that are still there. I think for him to average over 20 points per game on the new year, and still look this aggressive over the last 2 games. One of the notable things is he had 22 attempts each game, 22 attempts and 22 attempts. So that tells you there that his mindset is adjusting, and he's welcoming the new role, and he's looking to maintain an aggressive mentality as we move forward and end the season. So for him to still produce that, we talked about going into this season, how, if he improves finishing at the rim, if he can shoot a little bit better from the free throw line, he's already there. Well, he's doing that now without still, majorly improving in the mid-range game or the free throw line. So, when we talk about those conversations, CP and Alex, about what is his ceiling, what is his potential, these are the things that, him and Drew Hanlon are going to look at in the offseason to basically say, listen, you're nowhere near scratching the surface. You're a 20-point scorer right now, and we still need to work on your mid-range. We still need to hit more free throws, and we still need to finish a little bit better around the basket. And then we still need to develop another move or two. So I think, if you're the Knicks front office, if you're the Knicks fan, you have to be encouraged by not only what you've seen the last 2 games, but what still needs to be seen in terms of improvement. I was looking at some things, just look at this company. Players age 21 or younger with at least 145 points, 10 rebounds, and 15 3-pointers over any 5-game span. Devin Booker, Luka Doncic, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Jason Tatum, Trae Young, and RJ Barrett. Now, that's not to say that RJ is going to be Devin or Luka or Kevin or LeBron or Jason. I would like for him to be maybe Jason or Trae Young. But when we talk about, a player not being a bust or a player not, living up to expectations, RJ is starting to join some pretty good players in some of these statistical numbers that he's been producing, which also gives me a lot of, hope and excitement about what he could become here in the future. It's funny when he struggles and we use the age, right? People, don't make excuses, all this stuff. But then when he's playing well, look how the age now looks a lot more excited because now we can say, and he's only 21. And so I'm excited about RJ. He still even needs more improvement on the defensive end. But you guys have noted in terms of the areas of improvement, those are the things that he needs to hone in, because now teams will adjust. Remember, there's different types of tapes in the NBA. There's a tape where you're just a role player or you're a stand-up shooter. People adjust to that. Now there's going to be tape on him being the lead guy. So it's a different type of film that teams are now going to be studying on you, and they're going to adjust to that. And that's where the key to his development, in my opinion, is going to be the mid-range game, because I talked about LeBron James. You can be a 70% free throw shooter in this league, although obviously that's not the goal, but you can be that and still be a very good player.
Yeah, no question.
Luka Doncic struggles as well, but you need to develop other areas to counter that. And I think that's what RJ is going to be looking to do here to finish out the season and in the offseason.
Yeah, going to be. Go ahead.
No, I was going to just say, and the fact that he's still averaging 20 points, JD, is like you pointed out, with his below league average, just shooting attempts, whether that's around the rim, the mid range, and therefore that's the most encouraging part. And the fact that he's averaging those numbers and the Knicks are still in these games, we're not getting blown out, we're not getting washed out there. We're still in these games with him performing at this level. If that's what I'm saying, if he can get to just league average, this team is very different. The team is very different.
Yeah, no question, man. And as you guys said, it's going to be interesting to see how he adjusts as teams start to scheme for him as they did Julius. Going to be interesting to see how he adjusts. I was encouraged, JD, as you mentioned earlier this week against Miami, because I was nervous him going against Spoelstra and that team. He struggled against his team over the years. And I like the way that, his decision-making against those traps and the blitzing on the pick and roll was very solid, especially in the second half of that game, man. He was very much under control against that team, and I thought that was very encouraging. So, again, let's continue to see how he improves as we finish out the season, because it could be one of the very few bright spots. And then defensively, it's just, he's still getting beat a lot backdoor. Those things, those type of lapses, those off-ball lapses are there, but overall, man, he was great this week. Absolutely great this week.
And how about, Doris Burke mentioned it, going back to this just last game against the Sixers. Yes, he did. He was beat, a lot of times, and he wasn't great. He also wasn't really great against Jimmy Butler.
Right.
But how about him taking that challenge, though?
Yeah.
In terms of
backs down.
How many times do we see it around the NBA, right? You have a high usage player on offense. They kind of try to hide him on defense, try to save the energy. RJ seems to have taken that challenge of, I'm going to guard the best perimeter player on the other end, and I'm also going to try to be, the lead guy on offense. So, when we talk about mentality and mindset and becoming a leader, because this is a team that many feel do not have a leader, and he can become that. Doesn't have to be vocal, but he can become that by the example. So I'm encouraged by that. And then as we go and look forward to this week, you're talking about he's going to face Thibault again. Now you're going to face the same team a second time on the road this time, right? And we're talking about Doc Rivers and this coaching staff looking to make adjustment because now they've seen you. And then after that, you're looking at Mikal Bridges and Jay Crowder, and then you end the week against Marcus Morris. So it's going to be a very, very good test for RJ as he looks to have another big week this week.
The mentality is why, I just never bought into the bust stuff that people are always talking about. I'm not here to preach that he's going to be an all-star just yet, but I just feel like the mentality, the ability to put in the work, never backing down from those challenges, wanting to accept that role as the guy here. I just feel like his floor is very high, His floor is very high, and I just feel like, again, 21 years old, man. He's got a lot of room for growth. Even with a limited bag, I still think he can be a consistent and productive player for us. So his role, his contributions this week were encouraging. But even with all that, the Knicks are likely, fellas, still one of the worst teams in the NBA. Since January 16th, and this is from Fred Katz of The Athletic, Knicks are 3-15, worst in the NBA. They score 106.6 points per 100 possessions, which is 28th in the league. They give up 113.4 points allowed per 100, which is 20th in the league. And their net rating during that stretch, 26. They give up minus 6.8 point differential per 100. Good for 26th in the league. Absolutely abysmal, fellas. Absolutely
Worse than the Pistons?
Worse. This is one of the worst teams in the league, man. And, look, I've been consistently saying it for weeks and weeks now when I go guest appear on these shows and people ask me, are they a playoff team? I say, well, look, they don't do anything well. They don't do anything well. Offensively, it's a disaster. Defensively, I think the reason why the defense did pick up over that stretch in January was because they got the benefit of a lot of empty lineups. And now when they start playing some, formidable opponents, you see the defense going back into the toilet. So you have the defense, which is bad. You have the offense, which isn't bad. They don't hit free throws. They don't execute in the clutch. These are all signs of a terrible team, man. There's not one area. Yes, you'll have your individual performances. RJ will cook. Julius will cook. Fournier will have his moments. But as a collective, there's not one thing that they do well. I mean, if you want to say offensive rebounding, okay, yeah, good. But maybe that's a result of shooting so many bricks.
I was about to say that rebounding
you know
as
what
well.
I'm saying? So this is a very bad team, man. Al, go ahead and jump in on that.
Nah, I was gonna say, well, they are top 5. They are actually 5th in the league in rebounding. But to your point, it might be due to the fact that they can't hit their shots. Where are they? They're 28th in the league in field goal percentage. Yeah. So I think that helps out with the rebounding to some extent. Granted, you have guys like Randall and Mitch and so forth who can rebound the ball well, but you watch this team and you don't even need to know the stats. There's nothing that we can say that this team does just with the eye test alone. They're not pushing the pace. Half court is just abysmal to watch. I played pickup today, and honestly, the way I played pickup today with some of my team members, it felt like I was on the New York Knicks. So that should tell you how the Knicks are playing on the court. And it looks like that. It looks like it's like 5 guys who don't even play with you, who don't know how to work with each other on the court. So you don't need the, I think the stats just reinforces what you're seeing on the court, but it makes sense. We came into this expectation with there was gonna be a lot more threes, which there have been. They just haven't been hitting them that well. Thibodeau talked about pushing pace. We haven't seen even pushing pace. Defense has just dropped from what we saw last season. They were top 4 last season. They're not even anywhere close to that. So they're just rough, man. They've taken a step back in all categories from last season. And that's what happens when you don't have an identity. And that's what this team, that's the saving grace of teams is what your identity is, whether you're a defensive team, which the Knicks were last season, you're an offensive team, you're a movement team like the Warriors, who's going to get up a lot of shots. Mm-hmm. At the core, regardless of who your top players are, what you're trying to do and what you're trying to execute day in and day out. And the Knicks just don't have that idea. It changes from game to game, and maybe one day you'll have a good defense. Next day you probably won't. Maybe one day everyone's just hitting on the team. That's the one thing that is consistent. This is an ISO-heavy team, and we're not good in ISO. I'll say that, though.
JD.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's tough because, that could be an illustration of so many things. A lot of those games as well, could have been won. You could make the case the Knicks left a lot of wins there on the table. I think it's a personnel thing. You don't have the pieces here to just be dynamic. You don't have dynamic players. But on the other end too, listen, man, when it's tough to evaluate because, when you see a game like the last game where it's a 1-point game or whatever it was, and then the coach brings a Alec Burks in, the game is all over. It was a 6 and 50-second mark in the fourth quarter. The score was 106-105 Philly. Cam Reddish gets a nice block on a cut. And then he gets benched right after that. Like these are the little things that I see that just boggle my mind. So I think a lot of it has been, it's been coaching. But there's also a personnel issue. So when we talk about how do we find, whether you want to call it the blame game or whatever the case may be, there's enough to go around. And that's why this team, this offseason is going to be a very critical offseason for them, because there's areas of improvement everywhere, from the coach all the way up to the front office.
Yeah, no question, man. I agree there that it's definitely a coaching and a front office issue as well. Here was this was the Fournier soundbite from yesterday. Came in a little bit low during the postgame show, but here it is straight from YouTube. This is Fournier on their late game execution or lack thereof.
We just need to execute better, and we need to. The fourth quarter, the intensity is different, but when you look at, for example, Philly, they just ran a simple pick and roll with James and Embiid. I mean, obviously they are two great players, so it's a tough cover. But I think our offense down the stretch, it needs to be a little bit more like players. Like, we need to think a little bit more about what we want to achieve when we run something. To start the game, first quarter, second quarter, you're trying to get into a rhythm. You move the ball, you go from one side to the other, because everybody has to touch it, and everyone has to feel good. Fourth quarter is different. That's where it's time to really execute our stuff and go to our best players, and yeah, man, it's frustrating because we're really we're not far at all. We should be winning these games, man, and. It's frustrating, very frustrating.
Sometimes teams kind of figure it out over the course of the year. The execution improves, but you said you've been talking about it for a while now. What do you think is getting in the way of just the execution becoming consistent with this group?
It's a good question. Maybe we need 1 or 2 games where we do execute and we win, and we'll get okay, so this is how it's supposed to happen, or build a little bit more confidence, maybe, because we are definitely lacking confidence right now as a group.
All right, that was Fournier, man. And look, Fournier's been the most honest and the most candid all year about the struggles of this team and what we need to do to push things forward. And his comments, you see it out there, whether it's watching the games or on the stat sheet in crunch time. This team is just abysmal, man, and it's not having a solid decision maker out there. Point guard, solid playmaking, point guard. The D Rose factor, going to Julius in much of these situations, disaster. So it's just all these things, and it's evident when you see these guys, tighten up in crunch time, man. The other team is just flowing and cooking, and the Knicks are just always in constant disarray, whether it's, executing out of the sidelines out of bounds or after the timeouts or just getting into some half-court sets when you got Burks lollygagging the ball up and down, muddying things up. It's just all over the place. The constant changes in the lineups, which we knew Tibbs was going to have an issue with. All facts by Fournier here, Al.
Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing wrong. And I laughed earlier because JD, mentioned how you have Cam cutting and then Tibbs is like, all right, he did a good thing. Time to pull him out. I can only laugh because it's been like the cue for this entire season. You see someone do good, whether it's OB, IQ could have it going. And then next thing you know, he gets pulled and you're like, why? Why was that the decision? What did you see on the court that we did not see for that decision to be made? And Fournier has been telling truth. It goes back to coaching, to execution. Tibbs, when he came in, is supposed to be known as someone that over prepares, has his team ready to execute, and you would think that would translate to crunch time, and it just hasn't this season. Now, that's not just on Tibbs himself. That's also on the players and the horse that you have to execute when you don't have Derrick Rose, who's the only true point guard who can get into the teeth of the defense and organize an offense. That doesn't help when you have Julius Randle, who's playing like a shell of himself from last season, depending on the night. That doesn't help either. Evan Fournier is very inconsistent. Alec Burks is not a point. Like, there's just so many issues that we have on this roster that, of course, is going to translate to this. But to expect that this team would come out and perform better, I think that's a little much of a stretch on Fournier's part, where, yeah, you're close, but I think there's just something like, if you have an Alec Burks who's not traditionally a point guard and understanding key moments, when to push the pace and who to get it to, like that, having someone who can organize the offense and be a true quarterback, that is very instrumental to a good team. And if you don't have the head of the snake running the offense, it's a chicken with its head cut off. It's just running all over the place, man.
Which is how they look many a nights.
Yeah, that's exactly what they look like most of the time.
Man, I'm gonna call it for what it is. You know, it's funny. As everyone knows, I've been very tough on Evan Fournier this year.
Yeah.
But the more he does these post-game pressers and he talks
JD's loving it.
The more he talks basketball, man, I mean, he gives you some little underrated gems out there.
No question.
You could tell. I mean, even when he was here on the interview here on Knicks Fan TV, you could just tell with the way he answered questions. Like, he likes to, tell you exactly what he's feeling, and not in a cliche fashion. Notice how he says, I know the intensity in the fourth quarter is something. Then he says, but the previous presser during the break, and when Tom Thibodeau has been pressed on the difference in the fourth quarter, Tom Thibodeau has used the word intensity a lot. The fourth quarter is a different intensity. It's a different toughness. In other words, that's been Tom Thibodeau's way of basically describing why the Knicks are not executing the fourth. To Thibodeau is intensity, is toughness. To Fournier is execution. To Fournier is, notice the example he used too. He said, notice how the other team, they run a pick and roll. And then he caught himself. If you listen to it, he was going to say, maybe we, and then he caught himself. He said, and then he talked. Then he went into general talk.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, listen to those. There's hidden gems in there. And I think, and also the last thing he said, we have to figure out what we want to accomplish. How do you figure that out on the court, live? Right. That's something that is in practice, in training camp, in the X's and O's, in the film room, in shoot around. That is what coaching does. They instill that mentality, and that's the game plan in terms of what type of basketball we want to play in the fourth, what type of strategy are we using, and who are we going to utilize to finish the game. Because Evan Fournier did acknowledge, I understand that in the fourth, we also go to our best. You go to your best players. So I don't know. To me, like I said, you do all the the searching and everything and the riddle breaking. And to me, I think he's alluding a lot to the coaching. And I mean, he even said, when players say we're better than this and we should be winning,
it's on the coach. He's talking about
who are they talking about? They're not talking about themselves.
He's talking about the coach.
About the coach.
And remember, after the first Miami game, the loss in Miami, and he was like, we got to make adjustments. We're not making proper adjustments. The offense should be way better than this. So Fournier's been on point, man. Fournier's definitely been on point and played well yesterday. 24 points, had an efficient outing for them. I liked, again, the point guard situation. I was looking for McBride yesterday, understandably, but I like how Quickly played. I thought Quickly ran the offense fairly well. It didn't translate to a lot of assists, but he pushes the pace much faster than Burks. He was attacking the rim, 21 points, was very aggressive on his drives, going at Harden, playing confident. I loved how Quickly played in that third. Quickly was a big reason why that game was close up until that 6-minute mark. I like how Quickly ran the offense, man. Fred Katz with The Athletic has a good article on Quickly trying to learn the point guard position. Trying to learn from Kemba, taking some things from Kemba. Obviously, it's been a point of emphasis for him. A lot of people in the fan base don't see him as the point. He might not be, but clearly that's what he's been working on this year. And, I think he's played well last 3 games. Let's see what happens going forward. And if Tibbs puts him in that position.
It's not an easy transition to be a point guard, especially since that's not what he was in college. Maybe he did say he played it in high school, but playing at Kentucky, he was more of a shooter. He comes in last season, more of a shooter, wasn't really running the offense, was playing more off ball. Now you're asking him to be ball dominant, be a playmaker, have good decision making, but his natural instinct for the last 2 seasons have been, I got to shoot and find my shot. So now you're asking him to flip a switch to be a point guard, to be this playmaker, to be this facilitator. That's just not natural for him. Now he could learn it at some point, but it's difficult and you just see it. And so I'm a little hesitant to say that I'm not going to say that he can't be. He hasn't shown that he's a good point guard as of right now because he's still developing. It's only year 2 though. So I'm not going to be that hard on somebody. There's a lot of point guards in this league who looked very questionable when they came in here. Mike Conley was one. He got a lot of pushback when he was on the Grizzlies. His first couple of years in the league, it took him some time to get the reins to understand how to play that position. Kyle Lowry was another person that came into mind when thinking of how to learn how to play a point guard position. It's been noted how it takes about 4 to 5 years for someone to truly understand an offense, how to command an offense, to figure out the give and take between calling your own number and figuring out the rhythm of everybody else and trying to get everyone to their spots. Because it's not just passing. Quickly's a very good instinctive passer where if he sees somebody, he can do that quick pass and get it out to somebody. But to figure it out as the play is breaking down, as the defense is breaking down, or know how to organize guys to get to certain positions on the court, that way it can lead to the play that they want. That's difficult. And that takes time of understanding the playbook. That takes time of understanding your opponents. That takes time just understanding your teammates as well and knowing how to get them in rhythm. So there's a lot of all of that coming together for Quickly trying to become a point guard. And I also just he wasn't even supposed to be ready to do this season. He was supposed to be next to Derrick Rose this entire season, working off ball, getting some minutes here and there, figuring out how to be a point guard. But now he's been thrusted into this role for the second unit to be that leading guy. And now we're seeing him struggle because that probably wasn't Thibodeau's intention for this season. And now he's just learning on the fly. And that's just a lot for him to take on, to be that scorer, to be the facilitator, especially for that second unit. So got to understand that for Quickly, it's a high learning curve for this season. Let's see what he can do in the upcoming seasons and see if he can translate that and put it all together.
Real quick, shout out to Iris Cox, $10 super chat. Iris, definitely appreciate that. I95 Bully, appreciate the super chat. Gonna read your comment after we get JD's take on the Quickly topic.
I'll be honest with you guys. I'm a little concerned about Quickly myself. Even with this game, because and I know Knicks fans, this is what's frustrating about any player. When you have a player that shoots 92% from the free throw line, and when you see him go up there, you're watching it on TV, and you see how easy it is, how smooth it is that he hits those free throws like it's nothing, and then you see him struggle from the perimeter shooting the basketball. It's frustrating because you're like, man, you're so good at the free throw line. You were advertised as a shooter. You shot 39% from 3 as a rookie. And then this year he's shooting 33%. So he's taking a step back there, and he has yet to even hit 40% overall as a shooter in his NBA career. His rookie season, he was at 39.5, and this year he's at 37. So I'm concerned. I'm concerned from that aspect because what is supposed to be his strength, we have yet to see even at a solid level, let alone average or decent. We haven't even seen it at a solid level. And usually shooters, you're advertised that you quickly get to that level. The other reason why I'm concerned is because it's kind of the same thing with Obi. Sometimes I'm a little concerned when you have players that need a lot of circumstances around them for them to be successful. In the case of IQ, we continue to tag him with Derrick Rose. And I'm one that says we need to start to look past Derrick Rose, because Derrick Rose, we don't know if he's even going to come back this year. And at this point, I don't know that he'll be back next season. You know, I guess I expect him to, but should that be our mindset as a fan base now? Like, we're really going to be counting on a 34-year-old next year now? Like, we need to start looking at like what, quickly needs to just start working on being a scorer, but just hitting your shots.
Yeah.
And I'll always say, hit your shots, play defense. I don't need you to be a point guard. I don't need you to do all this other stuff. Just even if you become a spot-up shooter, that's nice. We'll find a role for that. But I'm a little bit concerned about him in terms of long-term, if this is how it's going to pan out over an 82-game season.
Yeah, no question. I think the shooting concerns are definitely valid. Of course, you want to see him be able to stand on his own too, and not have to rely on playing alongside Derrick Rose. On the flip side, you can look at it from a player development standpoint, and being able to be paired with that vet that puts him in that position to succeed. I think that helped him to a certain extent last year, and carved out that role where he didn't really have to do too much. And Tibbs wanted him in that specific role. So now we got to see without Rose, what position does he carve out for himself on this team? Now, yesterday, as you speak about the free throws, yesterday he did get to the line 8 times. So we'll see. Is that a trend? He only hit 8 once this season, and it was against Boston, I think, back in either November or December, so a long time. So we'll see how quickly plays as they embark on this 7-game road trip. Salute to everybody in the chat. Once again, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. Knicks Weekly presented by Manscaped. CP the franchise here. Alex Rotaros, the Stratocaster. JD Sports Talk on the 1s and 2s. We're recapping the week that was for the New York Knicks, man. 0-2. Knicks now 25-36. Losers of 15 out of their last 18. And about to embark on a 7-game road trip, including Wednesday night against those same Philadelphia 76ers. For those of you in the chat, remember that this show is presented by Manscaped. Fellas, go out there and go get that Lawnmower 4.0. It'll change your life. #1 men's grooming tool below the waist. Manscaped also has some new products, not just below the waist, but all over. From head to toe, they're taking care of you, man, with the body wash, the shampoo, the deodorant, the cologne, the lip balm. Manscaped basically has everything that you need, fellas. So go out there. The new products, especially the body wash and shampoo, can be found in the Ultimate Premier package. And they do a lot of nice gift packages with basically all the essentials that you need to get it all started and popping, man. So make sure you guys go to manscaped.com, enter promo code KFTV, and they will give you 20% off plus free shipping on your order. Always taking care of us at KnicksFanTV and our viewers as well. Okay,
Thanks.
we talked about, we covered the week. Now let's talk about Mitch. Because Mitch is in the news, man. Mitch is in the news. Shout out my guy, the Block Nest Monster, Mitchell Robinson. Let's hear what Woj had to say about Mitch and contract talks. Knicks and Mitch are talking money here, people. So let's see what Rose has to say here
as well. Well, for the Knicks, Greeny, the looming free agency of their 23-year-old starting center, Mitchell Robinson, it's a concern for New York. Now, they've had talks throughout the season with his agent, Thad Fouché, about an extension. The Knicks can pay Robinson under the collective bargaining agreement 4 years, upwards of $48 million before June 30th. They've not reached an agreement on that, and it's unclear that they will before free agency when Robinson will be unrestricted. Now, the Knicks can pay him more money in summer free agency, but this has been one of their real development stories, a second-round pick in 2018. This year he's having his best season, almost 9 rebounds a game, a block and a half, and he's leading the league in field goal percentage. You'll see him against Joel Embiid today.
All right, so that was Woj on Mitch, and basically saying that, look, prior to June 30th, the Knicks can extend Mitch to as high of a contract as 4 years, $48 million, so $12 million a year, which will be great. But now, according to Ian Begley's article today on SNY.TV, the Knicks and Mitch's agent, Thad Fouché of Wasserman Media Group, they're far apart on those talks. So it doesn't look like Mitch is intending to take that deal. It looks like he will go into potentially unrestricted free agency, man, go past that June 30th deadline. And, Knicks are at risk of losing the Block Nest Monster for nothing. So definitely going to be worth watching. Now, over the course of the past season, Mitch has been dropping little tidbits here and there about wanting to see his role expand. He's been on his TikTok, on his IG, making statements. He's putting his plus minus out there to show his impact on the team. The other day, just recently, he showed Miles Plumlee of the Charlotte Hornets getting into his bag with a little crossover down the lane, and Mitch talking about, basically, he's got the green light. So Mitch is looking for the green light here. And on Twitter, he got into an exchange as this Twitter fan, Knicks Nation, called him out. Says, all for re-signing Mitch, but if he's pushing for more money, you explore signing trades with him. There's a reason why he's pushing the narrative that the coach is holding him back. He's just trying to get paid. Show us more of this offensive game you claim you have. And then Mitch clapped back. I lost him. What happened to the Mitch joint? Mitch clapped back at this. I'm trying to find the Mitch tweet here. I don't know what happened to it. It was right here. People must have been replying to this. What happened to the Mitch reply to this? Hang on, let me find the Mitch reply. But in the meantime, Al, go ahead on your thoughts on Mitch.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they're far apart doesn't really shock me from like an agent standpoint and a front office standpoint. They're still in the middle of the season. Of course, the team, I'm sure the Knicks would want to get this done before he hits free agency after June 30th. There's been a lot of numbers running around. Who was it? Sean Devaney of Heavy.com came out with a report saying that he spoke to an NBA GM and he expected if Mitch were to go into the market, he would get a 3-year deal, $33 million. So that kind of gives you an idea of where Mitch's value is as a center, somewhere along Robert Williams, the Time War for the Celtics. And that's what I'm kind of expecting for Mitch too. And you look at Mitch, sure, he's shown some improvement this season. He's still a little raw in some areas. You could still see that he needs to, improve on setting screens. He could still improve on boxing out. You could still see that he needs more of an offense, post moves, face-up games, something, just something more than just being a lob threat. But that's where all these conversations are coming in. Makes sense why the team's waiting to see how he finishes the season. Does he still make more improvements before you want to give him that money? So it makes sense. And this could also just be a negotiating standpoint too for the agent, because, the agent's going to take care of himself, take care of Mitch, I should say, but he also wants to make sure Mitch gets the best deal because he also gets a better deal too. He gets a piece of that, whatever contract that Mitch gets. So of course he's going to try to market his client to be the best that he can be. I think the max that the Knicks could sign Mitch is for a 5-year, $55 million agreement. If they really wanted to, that had to be done before June 30th. But I'm not too, it's not concerning because it's very rare to get a lot of these deals done, especially on the last year of a contract.
Yeah.
Especially for a player who hasn't shown you much. He's been injured last season. He had 2 major injuries. He's been, he was in foul trouble the first 2 seasons. He started to put something together last season. We saw a glimpse of it before he was done for the season. Now we're going to get an idea of who Mitch really is. So I can understand why the front office wants to wait until the end of the season to say, all right, let's talk some real numbers here. And even if he did hit the market, I don't see how he can get more than 5 years, $55 million to begin with. I think somewhere in the middle, probably a 4-year deal, 40 some odd million is where you have to go at for Mitch. And he deserves his money. He had 4 years, $5.8 million.
Yeah.
He's been working hard, so he should get paid, and rightfully so.
JD, hang on. Here's the quote from Mitch on the clapback. He says, everyone knows when everybody gets involved in the ball movement and everyone touching the ball, that energy and effort goes to another level. Let me ask you this and be 100% with your answer. How would you feel just running up and down the court for 48 minutes, even for 20 minutes? Your thoughts?
He had a subtweet right under that too.
Let me go to it. He said,
which is such a Mitch tweet.
Yeah, got it. But look, I'll deeply appreciate it if I can watch TikTok without being mentioned in a tweet. It kills my vibe. Thanks, and have a good one. Shout out to Mitch, man. That's my guy, bro. Go ahead, bro.
No, what I was saying to piggyback off Alex, because Alex said he needs to get paid, but I think the question is, what's like, Alex, what do you consider getting paid? Like what's an amount you're looking at?
I think Mitch is somewhere between 4 years, 40, like somewhere around in the $40 million range. I think like Robert Williams' contract, maybe a little less than Robert Williams, because Robert Williams has actually shown that he has more of a complete game than Mitch to this standpoint. So, and maybe that could be due to coaching. Maybe we don't give Mitch enough to see what he does have in his arsenal. We got that one crossover to the basket. Probably that's why he's showing what Mason Plumlee's doing out there. But like, what have we seen from Mitch to say, okay, you are deserving of like the 5-year, $55 million deal, outside of just like he's having, I'd say, an okay to solid season this year. There's been ups and downs, but his play is also indicated on how well the entire team is doing as well. Like if the ball movement's not there, if he doesn't have a point guard either to really get him activated for lobs, like there's like, he can only do so much. He doesn't have, the offensive game, which, throwing it back to Mitch, he needs to develop that if he wants to even get more touches too. So it goes both ways.
Here
it comes.
No, I'm just saying this. LCP, I don't know, man. I'm on the fence on Mitch, man. I'm on the fence, bro. I'm on the fence.
Wow.
I'm on the fence.
For $48 million, you on the fence?
No, I'm just saying, because I don't know, man. Like all these.
Are you a big Jericho believer?
No, because I'm just this whole Jericho Sims playing now. I know that people are saying, Noel is hurt, but Taj is there. If you can make the case, Tibbs would rather play Taj over Noel. That's his boy. This all of a sudden, like, because I still find it strange that Jericho Sims is playing all of a sudden, but McBride is still not. Like we're still gonna wait on a guy that we don't have a plan. Like we don't have a point guard. We don't have an option. Technically, McBride, you could say, is the only quote unquote point guard that could play, but then we're gonna play Sims where we technically still have Taj there. And then you got that. You have this the report that they're far apart. You see Woj saying that this is something the Knicks have been at it for the whole season.
Yeah.
Mitch with these tweets. Mitch has been doing a lot of subs about his role. I don't know, man. Like, this is gonna be interesting. It's gonna be very interesting. And the Knicks front office has to look at it also. I don't know from a Tom Thibodeau standpoint. I don't know that Tom Thibodeau's opinion at this point holds as much weight, because I don't think Thibodeau is going to be part of your future. So is this something that maybe they kind of put Johnny Bryant, in the office quietly? They're asking what he thinks. Like, this is going to be interesting. And if you cannot lose him for nothing, man.
That's my thing, bro.
That's
my thing.
Remember when there were the rumors that we could have traded up and the Warriors wanted Mitch, and we didn't want to do
Wiseman, it to go get Wiseman.
You know what I mean? Like, you cannot, and that's what I'm saying. Now the Knicks are cornered, because at this point, signing trade possibilities, what you're getting, a few second-round picks. Like, what are you really getting?
Well, I mean, if you get involved in the Brunson deal, do you go that route?
Mitch would have to agree to that sign and trade too, because he's going to be an unrestricted free agent. So
right.
Unlike Lonzo or anybody else, where you have the restricted free agency where you can offer and then try to do that, Mitch would have to agree to all of that too. But it's all interesting that this all came out like a day or so after, when Mitch is like, I haven't been thinking about my contract extension. I'll leave my agent to go do that. Maybe his agent's like, whoa, you shouldn't really be saying that. We need to make sure you get paid.
Yeah. Look,
I hate it, because Mitch, in these little comments, I mean, listen, I'm not really mad at it, because like I said, you got to try to adapt to the new age. This is how players are now. Social media is their way. But there's still a fine line of how much you still want to put out there. And it's just something that you want to be around. Remember, here's the fear. Once he gets paid, what's going to happen? And then now you have a player that, as you can see, he believes he has more to offer.
Right.
So you got to meet halfway now. So he's probably looking at Jarrett Allen. And as a Knicks fan, that's my fear, CP and Alex, is that this guy goes somewhere else and he turns into Jarrett Allen. Because I don't know if the Nets saw this coming from Jarrett Allen. I don't know that they make that deal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this guy's an all-star now. So Mitch is probably looking at that trajectory, and it's going to be interesting, man. I don't know what's going to happen.
It's definitely going to be interesting, man. I am fearing them losing them for nothing. I would hate to see that happen. I don't think 4 for 48 is that bad. When you look at the center salaries around the league, I really don't think it's that bad. And if they didn't do a boneheaded deal with Noel, it would be even better. You know what I'm saying? The Noel thing made no sense for a backup center that was extremely limited. I think with Mitch, a lot of people, yes, he does need some sort of package, but it's unrealistic. He's a rim runner. Yes, the Time Lord has a little bit better arsenal than him, but I think Mitch can get there. I think he can get there. And look, he's been operating in one of the worst offenses in the NBA since he's been here, with no point guard. Absolutely no point guard or consistent playmaker to get him involved. I think he's playing it right. I think he's saying all the right things. I can do more. I want the green line. I want a bigger role. He's playing it right. He's doing business the right way. The agent is doing business the right way. I wouldn't expect him being on his, sixth agent since he's been in the league to just settle for that deal, right? They're going to take it all the way, as they should. But I still think for that amount of money, I would do it. And as the contract goes further and further, it still becomes tradable. Like, we're not talking about a max contract here. We're not talking about a Gobert type of deal. We're talking about a player. We're still talking about player development, and we still want to see players developing. I would make the move. I would make the move and keep him, unless the Brunson thing comes along and you're looking at a potential sign and trade for a swap. Depending on the package, I would look into that too.
If you look at the NFL mentality, I know it doesn't mix because this is not the NFL. Mm-hmm. But, in the NFL, the way they do it is if you feel you have someone behind the wings that can give you that production, then from a positional value and from a salary cap standpoint, you go and you try to improve another position. In other words, if you believe that Jericho Sims can give you what Mitch is giving you, if you believe Jericho Sims can get to that point, then maybe from a salary cap standpoint, you're gonna have to pay RJ. Mm-hmm. You're gonna have to make a decision on Reddish. You got a lot of players here that you have to make decisions on, and then obviously you would think the incoming salary from draft picks and from potential moves, is the better avenue going that route, developing someone. And because the other thing is too, once you commit to Mitch, CP, I think it goes along with RJ. That's why this all connects, because the way RJ finishes the season, does RJ now take that franchise role where as a front office, you got to look at him and see, okay, how can we continue to maximize this guy's potential? And is Mitch an asset to RJ in the sense that, do you want to create more spacing for RJ as the league adapts and adjusts to his strengths and weaknesses? So it's a lot of, connecting going on, a lot of decisions the Knicks have to make, because yes, Mitch is a decision, but you got to look at your roster and look at who's your best player and what is the personnel that can maximize that player, and then, future pieces with that.
I think getting back to like a business standpoint too, right? You look at the Knicks books, and we can go back and forth thinking like, how bad these contracts are and so forth, and how movable they are. But when you look at the guys that they still have on this roster that are going to be paid in the future, forget about the guys that right now, right? Whether it's Julius, Fournier, guys like Burks, Noel, and Rose, and so forth. You have RJ, who's going to be up for a contract after next season with Cam Reddish. Those are two guys you have to think about. So thinking about Mitch, those two guys are like, what are the books going to look like? Are we going to have enough to make those type of deals to keep all these guys around? Who are we trying to move this offseason so that way we can open up some of this space to be able to sign some of those guys? So I think when you look at it from the Mitch standpoint, I think this front office is in a bind because they're looking at these contracts saying, all right, how are we going to, we got to do a lot of behind the scenes work before we can even pay Mitch, before even June 30th gets around, because, we can talk about the Noel deal where for a backup center, not get I understand why they did it. It was like good business. Hey, you played well. We'll reward you.
I hate it, bro.
I get it. I didn't say it's right. I said I get the logic. But it is hurting this team right now when you look at it. So
let me, and I think this can answer the question. Let me just theoretically, let me ask you guys a question. CP3 like point guard. You take Sims, you take Mitch. If CP3 was on this team, who do you think, or a point guard of that nature, Jalen Brunson, whoever, let's say we address the point guard, we got a point guard, we finally got a point guard, whoever that is. In that circumstance, who has the higher upside with that point guard? Is it Sims or is it Mitch? Because that right there, that's another avenue that the Knicks could look at with this is, you got to believe they're going to address this position this offseason. You got some way, whether it's a veteran or the draft or what, you got to believe the Knicks are starting next season with a point guard. So if they know they're going to address that, then you have to look at potentially, all right, Sims or Mitch, who has the higher upside? Because going into next season, Sims and Mitch, they're not complete players. They still have rooms of, of improvement. So you're not getting a complete Mitch next year. You're not getting a complete Jericho Sims. So in this case, who has the higher upside?
I got to go Mitch, man. I got to go Mitch. We still have, it's still very early for Sims. We haven't seen him. He's still very, very tentative out there, unsure of himself. We saw when Tibbs chewed him out yesterday for not coming to set the screen for RJ or the pistol. Yeah, we know Mitch has to set better screens. We know that. And even Mitch sometimes misses his assignment. So, as you said, neither one is very much a polished player. At least with Mitch, we've seen him when he's in that aggressive mode and he's cleaning up on the glass and throwing those putbacks down. He's been close to having some dominant games out there, man. And against lesser competition, we know that. But, I don't like when fans are, Embiid dominates him, Jokic dominates him. They dominate everybody in the league. They're MVPs.
Yes.
Come on, man. What do we really expected here? Maybe one center in the league that has even come close to shutting those guys down, even limited them at best. Not one.
I'd have to go with Mitch, although to be that person just going down the middle of the road, I think they both would benefit from Chris Paul just because he just gets everyone working. You see DeAndre playing out of his mind with CP3 on the court just because he's a true floor general. That's why I wanted him here. I remember that offseason. I wish he came here, but understand why he went out to Phoenix. But I'd probably go with Mitch just based on the improvement that we've seen. I think to CP's point, we've seen so little of Sims, even in the G League. Like, you can't even go by G League standards because Sims is a true center in the G League, and the G League doesn't have a lot of true centers. Most of those guys are like 6'9". They're really just power forwards down there. But yeah, I'd probably have to lean more so towards Mitch just because what we've seen him being able to guard the perimeter so well, being able to just work and drop coverage, just guard the pick and roll. We've seen what he can do just when he's fully engaged and just like in it. I'd probably have to lean more so towards Mitch.
I'm going to go with Sims. And the only reason I'm going to say Sims is because when you have these conversations, you're talking about tools, right? Like what are tools that a player has that we think is more likely to have a easier path to develop. When you look at Sims, we've seen he has a little bit of a touch around the basket. His technique, his mechanic is more sound than Mitch. He's not afraid to shoot it. I know, obviously, I would have more evidence with the Summer League and the G League, but even that layup or that drive that he missed against Embiid in the paint. But look at the way that it looked. Like, it looked sound. He just missed it. Even his free throw, you see the form. Like, those are two areas that Mitch is struggling in terms of, having an offensive arsenal, having any moves, and then the free throw line. That's something you're gonna have to deal with. I forgot there was a game where it might have even been the Heat. I forgot what team, but there was a game where they even did a hack of Mitch. Like, these are things that he has to improve. And when I look at tools, athleticism, even catching the ball around the basket, I think Sims gives you more tools, more upside. That doesn't mean, though, that Sims will be the better player, because right now Mitch is way ahead of the curve. But if we're looking at upside and tools, I think Sims can give you more to work with that you can likely develop.
I would say this, and those are good points. Keep both. Send Noel packing, and there's an easy answer. Get Noel out of here. We don't need that. It was the worst deal of the offseason. Can't believe they did that. And now he's sitting on the bench collecting money. Oh, now it's not the knee. Oh, it's plantar fasciitis. My bad.
Yo, I could not believe that.
Can't
Just
make it
finding
up,
out real time yesterday. Woo.
Can't make it up, man. Salute to everybody in the chat. Once again, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. Knicks Weekly presented by Manscaped. We got the poll up in the chat. Should the Knicks sign Mitch to an extension? 60% of the fans say yes. 14% say no, and 26% say put him in a sign and trade. All right, interesting thoughts. So we're going to take a couple calls, and then we're going to go into our all-time Knicks draft. Sam on the Discord. Sam, if you can hear us, go ahead and mute your mic.
What's up, guys?
Hey,
How we doing today?
Hey, no Knicks tonight, Sam. So, we're a bit even-keeled. You know what I'm saying? Stress levels are nice. Stress levels are nice tonight. We're chilling.
Yeah. I jumped in. I was listening to your calls. Wanted to cover the coaching conflict and then Mitchell Robinson as well really quickly. They're in a connected way. So I've been reading Kirk Goldsberg, Sprawl Ball, talking about the development of the NBA and stuff like that. And he talks a little bit about coaching and how Steve Kerr fixed the Warriors in a way of understanding personnel and running the right plays for them. Tom Thibodeau, I don't think understands personnel strengths. I believe he just looks at age, years in the league, and says, okay, those are the guys that can execute for me. And that's diminishing how we play on the field, on the court. And Mitchell look, we talked about it in the Discord a little bit about Kenny Payne and Johnny Bryan as our coaches. They call Kenny Payne the big man whisperer. There's no way Mitch hasn't improved. I mean, we've seen improvement, but there's got to be a way where he's improved greater with Kenny Payne on our bench, knowing that he is named the big man whisperer. And it's just Tibbs doesn't want to evolve his gameplay. He believes that whoever's performing is going to perform, but where are you seeing development in the gym? Because you hire these assistant coaches to develop, but we've been running the same players throughout the entire season, and we've been focused on player development. There's got to be a player out there that developed well enough where we could change it up. And again, you guys mentioned earlier about Evan Fournier talking about adjustments. Adjustments have to be made. Tom Thibodeau. Okay, first of all, when Tom Thibodeau was hired, everyone read the article where he said he wanted to trade RJ and Mitch for vets. That's already a red flag. There has to be a few changes here. There has to be adjustments. There's ways that we could fix the team because the players on the Knicks believe they can make it. And the way that coaching staff is built, I believe they can make it. I think the threshold is just Tom Thibodeau refusing to look at certain numbers.
Okay. I think those are fair points, man. I think those are very fair points.
He traded Levine for Jimmy Butler.
Traded Levine for Jimmy.
He wasn't thinking about future then.
Yeah. No, I think those are solid points, Sam. Good, great call. Write that call in the chat, people in the chat, man. I'm gonna call the Tribune here and let's vote on that one. I thought that was a solid call. Dave G on the Discord. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
What's going on, guys? How you doing tonight?
Good. How you feeling, man?
I'm good. I haven't been able to get on the Discord in the post games. I've been on the replay gang, man.
Okay, shout out to the replay gang, no question.
That's right. A couple things, and I want to throw some things at you. One, I've been thinking over the past few weeks. Tibbs has this reputation as a defensive guru, right? But he got this reputation as a defensive guru in an era of the NBA when you had to game plan for a shooter every few games, not game planning for these teams that shoot the lights out of the ball. I forget who said it earlier this year. I think it might have been Sam who brought up the stat that last year our opponents shot 31% on their open threes, even open threes, not just 31% overall. And this year they're shooting 38%. That's a huge difference. Like this year, you're just getting guys, they're hitting shots. That's just tough. I mean, you can chalk that up to they're getting more open shots because people aren't rotating. Julius just kind of standing around, but like I think Tibbs is a little overrated for the modern NBA, and because you think about his defenses, he had back then you just had to defend the paint, and he had a defensive player of the year candidate every damn year in Joakim Noah. So I think he's a little overrated. I don't know if he'll be back next year or not. I think he's a little overrated for today's NBA. Second thing, looking back at some of these games, I mean, I'm a member of the Rose Hive. Shout out to Rose Hive for sure. You get Rose, there's like 7, 8 of these games that are just chalk them up to like you can't get a basket in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
You get the W's, the Minnesota and Cleveland games, 2-point games. Win those. I forget what the other like 3 or 4, like a 30-win team. You're right there towards the playoff. But what are you? You're a 31-win team, but what actually are you? You're not good enough.
Bad team.
Really not bad enough for being in the lottery. So like, where are you?
Yeah, they're a bad team, and losers of 15 in their last 18, they could continue to dive, man.
They're gonna because Alec Burks is gonna keep playing 35 minutes a game and giving you no assists and nothing. It's just what it is. It's just they're just gonna ride it out to the end of the season. But I think in the offseason, I think we're gonna move Burks. I think we're gonna move Kemba. I think we're gonna move Noel because they'll all be expiring contracts going into next year because the last year's a team option. I think the front office is gonna be like, yep, scrap this. I think we screwed this one up. Move on. And going to that, I know you're a Brogdon fan. I've been a Brogdon fan for a long time too. I could see the Knicks. I mean, I think the front office really wants Jalen Brunson. I think that's who they would want. I could see a sign and trade happening with Mitch there and Brunson coming back, something like that. But I could also see if the Knicks could possibly pull off like something like Julius Fournier and a pick or Turner, Brogdon, possibly. Miles Turner would be on an expiring contract. That'd be his 1-year audition. Move on from Julius Fournier. I don't know if Indiana would do that, but I could see the Knicks looking for that. I don't know. I was just looking for your thoughts.
So you want to go Turner, trade Julius to Indiana for Turner?
For Turner and Brogdon. So send Julius Fournier and a pick for Brogdon and Turner, and then I would assume that's assuming that Mitch is going somewhere else. Like you're doing a sign and trade with Mitch somewhere else, not bringing Mitch back. But I'd be totally down to pay Mitch for 48.
Yeah,
to be perfectly honest with you. I think that's a deal.
I think that's fair. Would I trade Julius Fournier and a pick for Brogdon and Turner? No, I wouldn't do that.
I think so.
I think I wouldn't trade a pick for Brogdon because he's so injury prone, man. You know.
That's the only thing. I mean, if you could get what was it? It's like 80% of the season is like 66 games or something like that. But you got to be healthy for the postseason. That's the only question mark. I think I'd like to see Jalen Brunson. I've watched a lot of his games this year, and he plays smart. He attacks well. He facilitates. I mean, he's averaging what, like 16 and 6 or whatever with Luka. Also, he's putting up those numbers with Luka being the primary ball handler.
Right.
Impressive. It's just the defense. He's just not the best defensive player. But
yeah, so certainly not, man. And appreciate the call. Fellas, would you do that deal? He said Randall and Fournier and a pick for Brogdon and Turner. I wouldn't do that deal.
And what happens to Mitch?
I know you would.
He says assuming Mitch go somewhere else.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that at all, man.
I'm not. I go back and forth on Miles Turner. Like the more I think about it, he's not that good of a rebounder.
Right.
Like he's a stretch big and barely a stretch big because he doesn't even hit the three that consistently either.
Yeah. Give me a. I say give me a cheaper option, man. I was looking at Kelly Olynyk, man, from last year. He's not shooting the three as well as he has in the past, but something like that. Give me a stretch five that could be like your third big off the bench. You know, rather than investing that type of money in Turner. I wouldn't do that. I feel like that's selling low on Julius, honestly.
I mean, if Tom Thibodeau is the coach, you're bringing in a 7-foot center with foot injuries, and then a big guard that also is injury prone with Tom Thibodeau.
Right.
That's not a good combination right there. That's
They don't
not.
make it
I
out
mean,
of
these
trading
dudes
camp.
might not make it out of trading camp.
They don't make it out of trading camp, man.
Now, what are you talking
So,
about? Tibbs is gonna be pushing them in on the hospital bed. What are we talking about over
Yeah,
here?
right.
Yeah, the that's what I'm saying. I think depends on the head coach, but the one thing I'll say about Brogdon is the only thing is you only will have him for 2 years. So,
Yeah.
you know, if it's a 3-4 year deal, the injuries is a big. I mean, the injuries is a question mark no matter what. But at the very least, you could bank on 2-year deal, and you know, entering the second year, he'll be in a contract year, and you hope that you get the best out of that. So. Not under this deal, but in terms of Brogdon as an option overall, he could be a nice option just because of the contract situation. You know, he's going to want to get one last contract after this, and he'll be young enough to get it. And in Brunson, I mean, listen, man, the Mavs beat the Warriors. They were down 21.
Bro,
And
I
they beat
turned
the
my
Warriors
eyes off
last
of that
night.
game and turned back, and the Mavs were winning. I was like, yo, what's
Bro.
happening?
You talk about a game where Brunson only had 8 points, right? He had 8 points, a steal, 5 assists, right? Only shot the ball 9 times, but he played 32 minutes. He was a +5, the only plus player in the whole starting lineup. And they come back 21 and they win that game. Those are the games that he probably looks at like, yo, get me paid, because even when I'm not giving you all the stats, I'm a valuable player. We're talking about being an asset, and that's why he's going to be sought after in free agency.
So to everybody in the chat, once again, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. Knicks Weekly presented by Manscaped. We're about to kick off the all-time Knicks squad via draft. If you guys are new in the chat, leave us a hashtag new. We'll shout you guys out. I see my guy J Cal is in the chat. J Cal, what's cracking? How you feeling? J Cal, were you in the Uber movie? I see the Uber movie just dropped. Did J Cal make an appearance as one of the early investors in Uber? Was J Cal in the Uber movie? Did you get some action on that, man? Drop a comment in the chat, J Cal. Let's go to the phones. Area code 609. 609. What's your name and where you calling from?
What's up? It's Val from Jersey.
Val,
how you guys?
how you feeling, Val? The return of Val.
Good.
It's been a while, bro.
Of course. I just a quick thought and opinion from you guys.
Mm-hmm.
If RJ continues to ascend at this level, and I know y'all just saw what Ja just did maybe an hour ago.
Mm-hmm.
If RJ continues to ascend towards this level, do you think it's going to be basically a kickoff into, okay, now we're going to just build around RJ. Let's get rid of Randall. Let's get rid of the vets. Let's try to move up in the draft. This is basically going to be a pro RJ team, and that's going to be the focus for next season. And even RJ might even be able to control the coaching situation. Do you think if RJ continues having this type of play until the end of the season, this is just going to kick off a RJ Knicks team? And thank you, guys.
Yeah, appreciate it. I think we're seeing it now. I think we're seeing it now. Take a look at yesterday's game, man. This was RJ's team. There was no question whose offense this was. So I think we're seeing it now. I think the question is, can he sustain this? That's been one thing with RJ, man. He'll rip off, an 18-game, 15-game streak and then go quiet. So I think that's a question too, man. Can he sustain this? And then we'll see what we're working with. But no doubt, last couple of games has been, or last 2 months rather, has been very, very impressive, man. Very impressive.
Yeah, I think for RJ though, and the other thing is too, can he actually come out and start the season on a strong note and not have to wait like after 15 some odd games to have that strong game too, right? Because that's the other thing. He either goes for he'll go quiet for a couple games, then start roaring back, or he'll start the season off slow. I think it just comes back to consistency and just improving in all those those shooting areas, right? Mid range, finishing at the rim, and so forth. But we've seen RJ that they're moving that direction, that it's RJ's team. And I keep saying this is a wing driven league. Like, yeah, you need a point guard to help run the team, but look at the guys that are featured. It's Kawhi Leonard, it's Paul George, it's Kevin Durant, it's, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. Even if you go down to New Orleans, it's Brandon Ingram. All these guys who are like 6'6" and above, who are able to dribble, attack the rim, and can shoot. That's who's getting featured. Sure, you got your Luka Doncic and LeBron James, the guys who are ball dominant and they can play point and so forth. But it's really the wings that are like featured in most of these teams, because they're the tallest. They're usually the better defender. They can guard multiple positions, and that's why they're the best. That's why they're usually featured. So RJ, like, it makes sense to feature him. We're seeing it, but he just has to improve and be more consistent as a player, as you said, CP.
Well, if it's, the caller wants to know, will RJ have say in front office decisions if he continues to ascend? Well, I'll tell you one thing. If he is, then Randall's out of here, because since he's been given the keys the last 2 games, Randall's shooting 12.5% from 3, 21% overall. He's only averaging 13 points. And, we've talked about that being the top, but that's actually one of my negatives of the week, unfortunately, is, when you look at RJ, now we're going to look at who can play with him. And that'll be a conversation between Brogdon and Brunson and some of these other options. Who can play with him? Obviously, when you're in the draft, you're at a certain selection, you draft who you're going to draft, and you worry about that later. But in terms of player acquisition, free agency, and trades, you take that into account. I think you want to see this continue, because here's the other question. Are you giving RJ the max? That's going to be interesting, because his max is a lot of money.
It's a lot of it's a lot of bread, bro.
But I'll tell you what, if he does, he has a few more of these 40-point games and he's taking 22 shots and, he's giving you all this promise, you're going to have to pay him. Yeah. And like I said, he's been showing confidence on the floor, getting upset with players. He's developing that personality as well as that dog, that lead guy. So I think we're in the infancy stages of him potentially being that player that wants to have say and be involved in that. I don't know that ultimately is RJ's, like, it doesn't seem to be that type of guy, but you never know. We see around the NBA, all these young players, whether they have the personality or not, they're the best player on the team and they're involved. So we'll see what happens.
No question. And speaking of RJ, back to I-95 Bully, $20 super chat. He says, check out the article Alex did for KnicksFanTV.com in the first week of the season. My guy was early on the RJ Hive. Drop your email when you get to the website so that you can stay up to date. Hashtag the movement. So shout out to I-95 Bully. He's promoting the newsletter. He's promoting the KnicksFanTV.com. That's what we're talking about. And yeah, man, solid article by Alex on the website as well. So make sure you guys are going to KnicksFanTV.com. You can go there for our post-game recaps, and you'll find some dope articles from the squad there, the round tables. We have some draft articles that are starting to come up now. It's starting to be March Madness is right here, man. It's March 1st, midnight here in the East Coast. So March Madness is right around the corner. And before you know it, we'll be getting into our draft talk. So shout out to I-95 Bully for the plug. All right, fellas, let's get to our draft. This has been a great show. Let's get to it, man. This is the 75th anniversary of the NBA and the Knicks. So with that, we want to start,
let me use some Manscaped lip balm for this. I'm going to get ready for this.
Get ahead and get ready, man. Because I feel like that's why we started late, man. Because you guys were both trying to get into some sort of strategy session here.
Yeah, I think you were scheming something because you're the one that didn't show up.
All right, so here's how we're going to play this thing. We're going to draft an 8-man team. All right? You start in 5 and then 3 bench players. Now, the catch here is that at least one player has to be represented from the past 5 decades. So each team has to have at least one player from the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, and the 2010 Knicks. All right, so that's the one thing. Now, let's see who's going to draw first. We're going to do a snake draft, and let's see who's going to go first. I'll put our names in here. The third pick. We'll go 3-1. The third pick goes to, let's see, JD Sports Talk.
Get out of here. You see?
JD Sports Talk.
I knew it. I
it's no
knew
foot
it. That's
tricks.
why you were late, man.
It's no sports tricks. I'm doing the draw right now, bro.
My God.
I'm doing the draw right now, man. No foot tricks over here, man. I'm doing it right out in the open for the sake of transparency. The second pick goes to, CP the franchise.
Wow, man.
Wow. Okay. All right. I like it. I like this position.
The
I like
Stratocaster.
And the Stratocaster gets the first pick. All right, Al, go ahead and kick us off, man. No
Please
pressure.
pick the junkyard dog.
No pressure. If you want to go ahead and pick, Moochie Norris, now's your time, man.
Oh, yeah.
Please.
Thanks.
Pick Shandon Anderson.
Hey, Shannon
You
Anderson,
guys are
man. What an
hoping
acquisition.
I pick some scrub. I know. It's all good. But guess what? I'm gonna go with. I need to take care of the position that has been plaguing this team for years and years and years. So I'm gonna go with Walt Clyde Frazier. We're gonna take care of the point guard first. Take care of that first and early. All right. There's a reason why he's hanging up there. And we're taking Clyde. Point guard's got to get solved first.
Wow,
All right? 'Cause I
okay.
need some good point guard play.
So Al's being a bit strategic with it. He's going 70s. He's getting the 70s out of there first. And he went Clyde. People in the chat, what are you guys thinking, man? So my guy Keith Sinclair says he's disappointed he didn't pick Marty Collins, bro. Wow. All right. I'm up next. Okay. You know what? Oh, man. The captain is my guy. Well, in the 90s, I referred to him as the captain because that was my captain, Patrick Ewing. But I'm just... Oh, man, this is tough, man.
Wow. Really? Wow.
This is... Oh, man. Man, how do I go against my guy? I'm going with it, man. Patrick. I'm going Patrick Ewing, man.
Patrick Ewing.
I'm going Patrick Ewing.
Wow.
I'm
Now,
going
okay.
Patrick Ewing. So, what is this here? I'm going Patrick Ewing. Okay, here we go.
My man was pressured.
Hey, man, it's a tough pick. Now, is it 80s Patrick or is it 90s Patrick? Ooh, that's...
Well, here's the
That's the
question I
question.
have. This is going to decide my pick. Are these players... can we add a caveat to this to make it fun?
Okay.
Are these players... Are these names in their primes?
You can't pick
disregarding you.
T-Mac, bro. You can't pick T-Mac. Or
Yeah,
if you
no,
want
no,
to
it's when they- come on now.
This is when they were playing here, all right? So if you're thinking T-Mac, if you're thinking, Bob McAdoo, this is when they were playing here during that time. All right? If you
Stevie
think,
franchise.
yeah, if you're thinking
that,
Stevie franchise, this is when he got here, all right? When he was thinking up the joint.
Not Dikembe Mutombo, all right?
Yeah.
Wow. All right. When
Now,
they were
JD
here.
goes back to back because this is a snake, right?
Yes.
Yep. Just clarifying that.
Okay. So I go back to back. I'm gonna go. Wow.
And remember the errors. Remember the errors. So Al has already knocked off the 70s. I'm gonna claim Ewing for the 90s. So 2 picks for JD.
Listen, man. Hey, nobody y'all picking gonna stop Melo. So I gotta go with Melo.
At what position?
What you mean what position? At the
3 to 4.
At the Ooh, that's interesting.
See,
I'm drafting him. I'll tell you later, man. I'll just put him anywhere. Don't try to mess up my strategy.
Let's go.
All right. So we got him.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna go. All right. I'm going Bernard King.
Ooh. Wow.
Listen, when you're the last pick, you gotta be unorthodox and you gotta find a way to win. I can't go traditional. You guys beat me too with Frazier and Patrick Ewing.
Wow.
I'm not gonna match. Now y'all gonna have to guard us.
Wow. So all right. So we got the 80s off the board for JD and either 2000s or 2010s with Carmelo. Okay. Next pick. With the next pick, I'm gonna go with who do I want to go with here? People in the chat, throw me some names, man. Help me out.
CP's like, yo, give me some help
Bro,
now.
This is an
help.
interactive show,
Franchise.
man. This is an interactive show.
Try to get a lifeline.
People in the chat, help me out here. What are we doing? I know where I'm going.
Jerome James.
Wow, you really picked Bernard and Melo.
He's taking Eddie Curry, right?
No. Hey, man, I need buckets. So where am I going to go for this pick? I'm taking the 70s off the map right now. And I'm going with the man who they say brought the playground game to the mainstream. And I'm going with Black Jesus, the Pearl.
Woo!
Earl the Pearl Monroe.
I like it.
I'm getting him in there early. I'm getting the 70s out of the paint. I'm going to the Pearl. I'm getting buckets right now. Let's go.
All right.
We got 70s off the map. Let's go.
Pressure on Tricaster.
Oh man, I go back to back now. And I was thinking about this today. I was like, there had to be 3 guys that were solidified number 1 picks for this. And it had to be Clyde, Ewing, and Melo.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad that happened. I'm glad that all played out.
Yep.
I'm glad that all played out. Man. JD really throwing me off with the Bernard. I did not expect Bernard King to go that early.
He did that.
Woo!
He did that.
Come on, man. You know JD.
Oh man.
Let's go.
JD putting that overtime work just for this matchup. All right. How am I going to do this? All right. Guy I'm going to take.
Mm-hmm.
The man who hit the 4-point shot during the 99 2000s. I'm going with Larry Johnson. LJ, baby. Give me LJ at the power forward position, baby.
Wow.
All right.
Okay, so Al is going with Larry Johnson at the 4. Okay.
That covers my 90s.
All right. No, well, are you claiming 90s? Or are you claiming 2000? Well, okay, if you want to claim 90s, we'll put you in the 90s.
What was it? Because it's 99 2000.
Yeah,
right.
You could go 90s. LJ was here in 96.
True. Yeah, I'm going to stick with the 90s.
Okay.
I like 90s LJ.
All right.
All right. Now, to go with the small forward, go 2000s now. Get me Latrell Sprewell on this team.
Wow.
Yeah, have fun guarding us.
Wow. Okay. All right.
So I go one time or twice?
No, I'm next, and then you go twice again. Okay, so Al, if you're going spree, then we're knocking out 90s and 2000s for you. So you still need to pick up the player from the 80s and from the 2010s.
Yeah, JD kind of messed that up for me.
Okay. All right. So here we are. Back again. Okay. All right. Here's where we're gonna go here. At the 4, here's where I'm gonna go. I think you guys are sleeping on this guy because when he came onto the scene, he put us on the map.
Julius Randle?
My God, no.
The Knicks
He's going.
The Knicks are
He's
back.
going.
The Knicks are back. Amari Stoudemire at the 4.
Wow.
Amari Stoudemire.
Are we
at the
playing
4.
2 seasons or 1? Because he came with a bad knee, too.
I'm playing at the peak of their Knicks career. Amari at the 1. 10 consecutive 30-plus point games. I don't remember if it was 10, but it was something like that. He was beasting. Amari Stoudemire. The Knicks are back. Let's go. And I'm knocking out. I could go 2000s. I could go 2010. So either one. Either one. But really, he was really best when he first signed. Okay. All right.
I feel the temperature rising. Y'all scared?
No, I'm good.
Y'all scared?
I'm good.
I'm chilling,
That
bro.
was
I'm
All right, just remember,
Chilling.
you know, y'all gonna have to adapt to this era of playing. I know Bernard King could play in this era.
Okay.
All right, so I go twice.
Yep.
All right. So here we go. Let's get the 70s out the way.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go with Willis Reed.
The captain. He goes with the captain, bro.
Like it.
Come on, man. You know, I got Bernard, I got Mel. I gotta add some toughness now.
He goes with the
You know what I
captain
mean?
and gets the
Gotta add some
70s
toughness.
out
We go
the
through
way.
some adversity. Melo, Bernard, we got Reed. All right. And at this point, since we got Reed, Melo, Bernard, I gotta stick to that game plan. Y'all gonna have to find a way to guard us, because if you try to double Bernard or Melo, got the best, most underrated shooter in the history of the NBA. They're comparing Quentin Grimes to him. Bradley Beal had comparisons to him. Man, you imagine if he shot in today's era. Do I have some water in here? They used to call him the H2O. I'm gonna go with Allen.
Wow, so you bringing H2O off the
Houston's my
off the
favorite Knick of all
bench.
time, too.
He took
My
Houston
favorite
to
Knick
play
of
him
all
off the
time.
bench. Wow.
Off the bench.
Where you playing him? You got Melo and Bernard King. You putting Houston at the power forward at
Bro,
wow.
We're going Tom Thibodeau, right? 8-man rotation. It don't matter if he's coming off the bench. I'm drafting the team.
So are you putting him on the bench, or you putting Melo at the 4?
I'm putting Melo at the 4.
Okay.
Put Melo at the 4. Okay.
He's my starting 2 guard, man.
Okay. All right.
I'm telling you, y'all gonna have to adapt to this era.
Okay. So he's going with Houston. So Houston was you can go 90s to 2000s there. I'll mark you down for the 2000s for now. And then you can, if you change your mind, change your mind. Okay. So I still got to get a player from the 80s and from the 2000s. I said Stat was in the 2000s. Stat was 2010. So I knocked that out. I got 70s with Earl the Pearl. So I got to go 80s or the 2000s. The 80s or the 2000s. My guys, Sprewell and Houston are off the board. Man, oh man. I'm gonna tell y'all something right now, man. You know, for as much drama as this guy's had, can't sleep on his skills. You cannot sleep on his skills. You can't sleep on my guy's skills right now. And where I'm going, at the point, I'm going with Stephon Marbury. Yeah, that guy. I'm going with Stephon Marbury. Hall of Fame numbers. Let's go.
You're going with a small backcourt.
Oh, I'm going Steph, Earl the Pearl. Let's go. Let's go.
You're going 6-3, 6-3 backcourt.
We could play this inside, outside. We could do whatever you want to do, man. Let's go.
All right. The Stratocaster goes twice?
Stratocaster goes twice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh man. See, it's tough because I need a guy from the 80s right now. But I don't know if I necessarily want him starting because I'm trying to figure out this roster. Still trying to figure out this roster on the fly. So I guess I'll figure out the center position right now first. First and foremost. I'm going to take the guy. Defense. He didn't get a championship with us, but he was a good rim runner while he was here with that mellow team, all right? I need a shot blocker. I need a rim runner. I need the man with the craziest beard I've ever seen in my life. Give me Tyson Chandler playing the center position.
Tyson Chandler, the offensive rebounding specialist, the tap-out specialist.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We need boards, man. We need boards on this team. So that's
boards.
the 2010s. We got that covered.
Okay, so 2010's out of there. Okay, out. So now you just need to cover the 80s.
All right. I didn't get to watch this guy. I don't have to hear my dad talk about him all the time. But I'm gonna go with Michael Ray Richardson. All right.
Okay.
That's my shooting guard. 80s covered right there.
Nice. Michael Ray Richardson. Good pick. Some of the OGs in the chat will be feeling this, man. We need Chuck to really be great in this draft, man. Chuck's not here tonight. But that'd be a good one. J. Cal, give me your thoughts. J. Cal was at the Garden watching Michael Ray Richardson back in the day. J. Cal, how you feeling? Okay, here's where I'm gonna go. Yo, I got Steph the Pearl. Oh man, you guys are not going to like this next move. J. Cal's feeling the Michael Ray move. Okay, so here's where I'm going. Since I gotta knock the 80s off the list, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move. Here's what I'm gonna do. Here's what I'm gonna do right now, JD. Here's what I'm gonna do.
I know what you're gonna do.
What do you... Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. Oh man, this was very strategic on my part. I like that. Because even in the 80s, you could argue Patrick Ewing's best season was in the 89. It wasn't. Oh, I need my glasses. Was in the 89-90 season. Started and played all 82 games, averaged 28.6 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 block shots. So here's what I got for you guys. I'm moving Patrick Ewing to the 80s. And for the 90s, we are drafting. This guy I'm drafting right now, he can guard every single player on all your teams. He can guard Willis Reed, JD. He can guard Larry Johnson. In the finals, he was guarding Hakeem Olajuwon. I'm going with Queens' finest. The late, great Anthony Mason is running the 3 for me. And Steph, if you need a breather, he can run the point for us. A multi-dimensional defender out there. Mace in your face. Let's go. Knocking the 90s out. And we got our squad here. Focused on the bench. Michael Maldonado. Wow. That was a killer. That was a killer, man. We got Mace real late.
Ooh, looks like JD's struggling over here. JD's panicking.
First, how can I panic? You see that team?
Yeah, man, but who's organizing?
And I'm gonna kindly request that you move up Allen Houston one spot and Bernard King down one spot because my team looking crazy.
What?
Bernard King at the 2 right now.
Okay. All right, got you. Boom.
I want to get that visual.
You got to get the visuals. Got it. Okay, no problem.
I'm struggling with this one. All right, so what I have left?
You have basically 90s.
90s. Although I don't have to pick the 90s now.
No.
Interesting. Okay. I'm gonna go. Do I go twice?
Yeah.
Okay. I am going to go. When he was here, we haven't had a point guard like him since. Haven't had a point guard like him since. And again, when I look at my scorers, I need someone that they can respect, that they can buy into the system. And I need a winner. I need one of the top 75 best players in the history of the NBA. No, I'm not going with the brother. No, I'm not going with the father. I'm going with the kid. I'm going with Jason Kidd.
Wow. He's bringing Knicks tape Jason Kidd into the building.
Tape,
That's not a bad pick, man. That is a formidable pick.
Like I said, look at the team, man. Melo,
it's a nice
the
pick.
I gotta get the team to buy in. There's a lot of offense.
It's a nice pick. That is a nice pick. Jason Kidd from the Knicks tape era. Okay, you still need to play from the 90s. Just remember that.
Yep.
As long as he fills out your bench.
I got you right now. So now we going to the bench. I can only go one or two options for the 90s. You know what? Gotta add a little bit of toughness here. Got a little bit of finesse just in case. You know what? Just in case y'all want to start swinging. You know what I mean? We want to brawl and y'all think y'all tough. Y'all just going, just in case. Y'all whole team can't jump this one guy.
Okay.
I'm going to go with the guy. He bugging a little bit. Talk about Giannis will come off the bench in my era. I don't know about all that. I'm going to go with the Oak Man.
Oh, okay. Nice pick. Nice
going
pick,
with Charles Oakley.
Nice pick. Very good pick. Very good pick. That's a solid pick right there. Okay, to round out my bench, here's where I want to go. Here's where I want to go off the bench. You know what? I'm going to match toughness. And I'm going back to the 90s. But you know what? I feel like Al's going to snake me on one of my guys, though, man.
That's the part of the job. You got to think about who's the next person.
You know what? I feel like Al's going to snake me on one of my guys. So you know what? I'm gonna skip that. I might have to sacrifice one of my guys. But if I'm going to go to the bench, I got to go with one of the best six-men ever.
No.
And a solid Nick. And a solid Nick. And a friend of the program. I'm going with my guy, JC, Jamal Crawford. Let's go. Yeah, that's what we're doing now. That's what we're doing. Because you guys got the double picks, man. You guys got the double picks. So I'm always a bit leery there. I might have to sacrifice one of my guys, but I'm going with Jamal Crawford, man.
I'm so angry that you're Jamal Crawford.
Yeah, that was a very good pick because you had a little bit of spacing issues out there, so
man,
Jamal Crawford could help you out there. That was a very good pick.
Whoa. Okay. Now that CP's just throwing everything off the rails, thanks for that. Appreciate it. Such a good friend. Love it. How am I gonna do this now? See, because I need some score. I need someone who can organize but still score off the bench too. This is where it gets a little tricky. Who do I want to come off the bench and really help this team out? Now we need someone from this era too, right? That's playing in the 2020s, right?
No. We're scrapping that.
No.
We're scrapping the team.
We're scrapping that part.
No,
okay.
Forget that. No.
I was laughing at the same thing, CP.
Yeah. It's my guy said Burks is still on the board. Man's got jokes out here. We got jokes out here.
Okay. All right. You know what? My first pick, I'm going to go with the guy because I'm going to need some depth at the forward position. So I'm just going to get this out of the way. Give me the X-Man, all right? Also friend of the program, Xavier McDaniels, all right?
Good pick.
Xavier McDaniel on this team. That's who I'm going with. Right?
Good pick.
All right?
Man.
Taking him.
Oof. Good pick up.
That's what you get for taking Jamal Crawford.
I had,
that's
one of those guys are gonna get sacrificed. I knew you were gonna go Jamal Crawford either way, man. So,
man, I still need someone to organize and get this thing going. I need that engine still. You know what? I'm a card-carrying member of the Rose Hive. I'm taking Derrick Rose. That's my point guard coming off the bench.
The first stint or the second stint?
Second stint. Let's relax over here, all right?
Wow, he's going with the Rose Hive.
That's a shocker.
That is a shocker, man. That is a shocker. But that'll get us some extra views because the Rose Hive is still lurking in here. They've been kind of quiet, but they've been lurking in here. Wow.
So you just picked twice. Is my go?
No, it's my turn. I can't snub my guy John Starks, man. You know what I mean?
I was
Come on, man.
I gotta bring John Starks. I gotta bring John Starks into the fold. We gotta bring Starks in here eventually. You know what I'm saying? The late pick.
Man, you just messed up the perfect team.
A late one. Oof.
And you going guard heavy. Oof.
Yeah.
Man.
Yep.
You sure you don't want to think about it?
Nah. I'm locked in, man. That's my guy. I'm going with John Starks. Let's do it.
Wow. Okay. I go twice.
Mm-hmm.
So these are my last two picks, right?
This is it, bro. Make it count.
Wow. This is it. And it could be anybody, right?
Anybody.
No errors. All right. You know what? All right. Man, you really messed me up with John Starks, man. But you know what? I'm gonna go with J.R. Smith.
There, yes.
He goes with Earl. He goes with Earl. Okay.
No, man. Like, listen, man. I'm going with winning. You look at the team. That's the year we almost made it.
Okay. He goes with Earl.
How y'all gonna guard us?
How you go? Who you guarding?
I'm not just saying.
Well, I mean, there's nothing to guard. You got spacing issues. Who we guarding? Who's shooting the three on your team? Anthony Mason?
Who's shooting the three?
Amari? Who's shooting the three?
Bro.
John Starks?
Yeah.
Who's shooting the three on your team?
Starks, Crawford. Yo,
oh my God.
we got ammo,
Crawford's
man.
a volume scorer.
We got ammo, man. Don't worry about us. We got ammo, man. We got ammo.
Man, have fun guarding us.
Let's go.
All right, last pick.
Yeah.
Wow, this one is tough. Woo! Oh man. Okay. I'm gonna go with you know what? I gotta stay true. You see my lineup is more modern day with the captain, Willis Reed.
Mm-hmm.
So I gotta make y'all adjustment. Yeah, we playing now. So I gotta go with the guy that's a rim protector, athletic, and he can shoot a mid-range.
Mm-hmm.
And if he swings from wherever he's at, he might hit me because that's how long his arm is.
Mhm.
So I'm going to go with Marcus Kembe.
It's a good pick. It's a good pick.
That's a good one.
Good pick.
That's a good one.
Good pick up. Okay. So he's going with the Camby man. All right, no doubt. He's going with the Camby man. Okay. So last pick for me. We do got a lot of guards. We got some nice scoring in here. I like our bigs with Mace, Stat, Ewing. We need a little bit more depth in that department. And I think a guy you guys all kind of slept on, man, at the peak of his Knicks career. This guy was an all-star.
I know.
20 points. Where my glasses at? Hang on. He made the all-star team with the Knicks. 20 and 11.
This is
20 and 11 in his heyday with the Knicks. Always had a knack for the ball, man. Was always stats in those rebounds. Can get you in a pick and pop. We can get you in a pick and pop situation with him and Steph. We can get you in a nice little pick and roll situation with him and Steph.
You did it again.
You guys sleeping on my guy, David Lee.
I knew it.
Round out the bench.
You legit. Oh my god.
David
you took
Lee.
The guy.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna go with.
Hang on. Let out pick first.
I know.
I'm pissed, bro, because you took. That was my last pick. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go with David Lee because he could play. Off the bench, center, power forward. All right, round it all out.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks. Once again, you take a Jamal Crawford. Take a David Lee.
Yeah.
CP, you took my notes.
Yeah.
I want a recount.
Who you going with, Al? Who you going with, man?
This is tough. Because I wanted to round out because we have Tyson Chandler, you have to take him out and still want some rim protection, still want someone playing the center position. You know what? I'm gonna go back to the OGs again. Kurt Thomas.
Oh,
I'm gonna take Kurt Thomas.
Wow,
That was his last pick, right?
Yeah, and nobody picked Porzingis.
I thought you were gonna pick him. I was gonna say, be careful because you don't start. He might ask for a trade.
Yeah, we this was a team of dogs. This was a team of dogs. I didn't want that soft stuff in there, man. This was a team of dogs. I skipped on KP, man. I skipped on him. All right. So here it is. The Stratocaster. Clyde, Michael Ray Richardson, Latrell Sprewell, Larry Johnson, Tyson Chandler. This is 5. And on the bench, the X-Man, Derrick Rose, and Kurt Crazy Eyes Thomas. For Team CP the franchise, we got Starberry, Earl the Pearl Monroe, Mace in your face, Stat, the Captain Patrick Ewing, Jamal Crawford, John Starks, and David Lee. And then Team JD Sports Talk, Jason Kidd, Allen Houston, Bernard King, Carmelo, Willis Reed, and then off the bench you got Oak, J.R. Smith, and Marcus Camby. I like that. It's interesting squads, man. No KP, no Jeremy Lin. Very, very interesting squads, man. Let's get some votes in the chat here. How much time you got left before replay game? A couple minutes. I'll see if we run the replay tomorrow anyway. Let me run another poll. Let's see what the chat has to think, man.
Everyone saying no Zebo, no Zach Randolph.
That was a good one. That was a good choice. Definitely a good choice. I thought Zebo would have been a good choice. And we were thinking about doing it with 10 teams, 10 players, but I thought that was a bit OD. So we just cut it down to 8. Make it a bit more manageable. What do you guys think in the chat, man? Who had the best squad? Rate that in the chat. Let's go to, let's get E-Crossover's thoughts on it. E-Crossover. Who had the best squad, bro? All right. Nope. I'm gonna mute this. I'm not sure what he's doing. Yo, what's good, man? We back. Who had the best squad, bro?
I gotta go with my man JD, man, with the Bernard King Carmelo duo, man.
Okay.
Yeah, man, that's kind of hard to stop right there.
That's a problem, man. That's a problem.
Yeah. That's a problem for all y'all guys.
Yeah,
man. You
bro.
got Melo scoring 28, then Bernard King about to score 28 off the. Yeah, I don't know, man. That's gonna be hard.
That's
man.
why, like, I was having trouble going with Ewing because obviously I knew Carmelo would have been next. That was a tough one, man. Let's go to Drew from Hoops Around Podcast. Drew, who'd you think had the best team, bro?
Ooh, that's hard. I probably go with JD, honestly.
Okay.
Honestly, though, I got a question for what is it? I forget. Sorry if I butcher your name. Trady Caster.
The Tradicaster, yeah.
Tradicaster. Okay, now I remember for last time.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm surprised you didn't pick David Lee earlier for the 2000s. You had him sitting right there.
Call him out.
And I'm screaming in the chat, David Lee, pick David Lee or Zach Randolph. And you picked Larry Johnson, who was washed up by the time they got to us, man. That's all I got to say, bro.
Okay. All right.
Larry Johnson has a very special place in my heart. I was going to take LJ over any of those guys. He was one of the reasons that made me like, sure, I watched the Knicks as a kid, but watching that 4-point play, I'm going to stay true to my heart.
Real quick. Let's go to Els Quill 999 on the Discord. Go ahead and unmute your mic. All right, they're not ready. King Deej, go ahead.
Yo, Alex, man, you let me down. Listen, I love the X-Men, but I had David. I was screaming David Lee from the heavens when you picked X-Men. So when CP went with Lee, man, that was a game changer. In my opinion, it's between CP and JD, man. That's a lot of scoring for JD.
There's only one ball. Melo's not passing the ball, man. Allen Houston's gonna be rendered useless, man.
You got
passing the ball, man.
Get out of here with that.
Between Bernard King and Melo, and nobody's getting the ball.
You got J Kidd is the de facto. He's the de facto in that. But your team is more balanced. His team doesn't play defense, so I feel like
they can't guard my team. Starberry, Earl, and Pearl, man.
Yeah, between Starberry with Amari and
who guarded Mace? Who's guarded Mace? Oh, come on, man, Patrick.
Charles Oakley.
I'm going with CP, man. I'm going with CP. Just because you picked David Lee, that's my boy, man. I'm out.
All right. There we go, man. Great show. The chat overwhelmingly votes for JD Sports Talk, 59%. CP the franchise, 35%. Tradicaster, man, you got 7%. They weren't feeling. I think it was a David Lee snub, man. They were not feeling the David Lee snub.
Not even the Derrick Rose Hive could save him.
Not even the Rose Hive could save him. 90 seconds. Not even
they're all asleep right now. It's all good.
Yeah. Let me go ahead and read the super chats. Great show, everybody. Great show, J Cal, all the mods.
They're asking for us to pick a coach.
Pick a coach? Oh man, we got to be continued because I gotta save this replay. You got Holtzman, you got Van Gundy, you got Riley. Take your pick. I don't think you can go wrong either way. You know what I'm saying?
Guess it depends who goes first, second, third.
Yeah, it depends on who goes first, second, third, man. Sam21 says, where's the Steve Novak love? Super chat. Paul Robinson says, RJ pick and roll with we'll get Mitch involved. Trade Julius Randle. Raji Slayer says, draft top 5 Knicks per position post 1990. I have Stephon Marbury, Allen Houston, Latrell Sprewell, Carmelo Anthony, and Patrick Ewing. We them boys $5 super chat says they're paying their own $10 million, but won't give Mitch 12. LMAO. Shout out Reggie Slayer again. Iris Cox, appreciate it. Paul Robinson says we have Julius Randle criticism fatigue, but honestly, nothing will change if Julius controls the offense. Trade Julius Randle's postseason Badman Barrett to the world. I-95 Bully, appreciate David Claudio says, let Johnny Bryant run the offense and Tibbs the defense, please. Jeremy Maynard, appreciate it. Emil Beaumansour, $5 super chat, listening to the GOATs at work. Great show, fellas. Gonna be able to wrap this up under the 2-hour mark, and we'll see you guys Wednesday, man. Knicks versus Philly in the return match. Can we get revenge? Continue to vote. I want to recount on the vote. Let's keep the polls open. Those of you watching the replay, gang, leave a comment below. Who had the best all-time Knicks team draft? We out of here, man. Great show, fellas.
Remember, I'm the only one with the